We want data. The entire reason we have a lead gen form on our website, a post-product feedback form, or an employee engagement survey is to collect data. We then use that data to follow up with leads, improve our product or service, or improve employee morale and retention. But before we can do any of that, we need to make sense of all that data. Hey, I'm Susie, the video educator in Typeform, and in this video, I'm going to go through all of the features in Typeform that help you analyze and organize your results data. We have different data views, different ways to slice and dice your data, and we even have some AI features to help you interpret your data. So I'll go through some results on different types of forms with different question types so that you can see how best to analyze your results data in Typeform. But before we get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content just like this. Okay, let's get into some data. All right, so as I mentioned, I'll be flipping through a couple different forms here to show you what the results look like on different kinds of forms, collecting different kinds of information. So the first form that I'm going to show you is this form, which is my dog personality quiz. I created this using match quiz mode, and I have embedded this form in the Typeform community as well as in a YouTube video where I outline how to make this quiz. So if you're interested in that, go check that out on YouTube. But first, we're going to go to the results tab. And one thing to note here is that if you haven't published your form yet, you won't see the results tab because you don't have any responses yet. But once you hit publish on your form, you'll be able to see that results tab. Okay, so here we are in the results tab, and the first thing you'll see here are your big picture insights. And just to note quickly, this is where you can navigate between different results views. So we're going to go through each one of these tabs, but let's start first with the Insights tab. So this gives you a general idea of the kind of big picture view of your form responses. So as you can see here, you can set a date if you want to see for a certain time period, and you can also change which device you're looking at. And then here you can change if you want to see views, starts, submissions, or any of these different data points. Okay, so let's try selecting mobile here. So on mobile here, you can see how many people viewed the form, started the form, submitted the form, etc. So viewed here is how many people actually saw the form, whereas started means how many people clicked on the form to actually begin. So either clicking on a welcome screen, clicking the start button, or maybe if there's no welcome screen, just answering that very first question. So that would be considered the start of a form. And if we compare that with desktop, for example, you can actually see that less people are starting and submitting the form on desktop compared to mobile. This is the perfect time to remind you to optimize your form for both desktop and mobile while creating it. And the easiest way to do that is through layouts. So if you have any images in your form, just make sure that you're changing the layout for both desktop and mobile so that it looks good on any device. So already you're getting some really great information on how this form is being completed and viewed. And again, you can change the metrics here to see different metrics. Okay, next, if you scroll down, you can see the question by question data. And the first thing you'll notice here that's different is the drop-off rate. This is a really good way to see where you might need to work on the structure of your form or to see which questions are tripping people up so that you can make improvements. So you'll notice here that the drop-off looks massive. This is my welcome screen. So you might be thinking, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with my welcome screen. People are just seeing it and leaving it. But I wouldn't worry too much. So as I mentioned earlier, this form is embedded in the Typeform community in a post. And so whenever that post loads, whenever the embed loads, that counts as a view. So even though nobody's actually interacting with the form, you're getting that view count and then you're seeing a massive drop off. So in this case, it would actually be much more useful to look at starts, which is here, compared to views, because starts means people actually clicked to start filling in that form. So that'll give you a lot better idea of the actual drop-off rate on that first question or on that welcome screen. So again, here you can see those same numbers as up here on the starts. So that's giving you a much better idea of how many people are actually starting the form and continuing on with it. So as you can see here, the drop off is fairly decent, I would say. It's not too high. And maybe on this question, it's a little bit higher than the others. But again, this is essentially the first question, so that's fine. And then on the last question, where I ask for the name, again, the drop off is a little bit higher than the rest of the questions. But again, this is nothing to worry about. So if I did see some big drop off on a question here or mid form, then I might, take a look and see where I might need to work on that question. And even here, you can go straight to edit that question if you feel like that question is negatively affecting the drop off rate. All right, so those were the big picture insights. Next, let's head on over to the summary tab. All right, so here we are. We are now in the summary tab, and this is a different form. So this is a lead generation form for a digital agency. So this has not as many responses, but it has a bit more variety in terms of the questions that I wanted to show you. So the summary tab does what you would expect, which is to summarize your questions on a question by question basis. So here, as you can see, it has the same filters before, so you can change the filter or the date range that you want to see your data. And then here at the moment, this is in absolute numbers, but you can also show the percentages if you'd prefer to see the percentage. And then again, you can change the view here. So maybe you want to see it in a table, or you want a different style bar chart. So the vertical bar chart here is the default. So this is a multiple choice question, so you can easily see the most popular answer. And then once we scroll down, you can see here, this is a ratings question. So I ask how urgent the project is on a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being the most urgent. So here, this gives you a bit of idea of where people are falling in terms of their urgency. And then as you can see here, you've got a couple more data points. So you've got the mean, median, and the standard deviation. Okay, and then at the bottom here, this is the open text field. So this is actually a video question. So I've given people the opportunity to answer the question via text or audio or video. So these are the transcript for any answers that were in audio or video, or if somebody just wrote this in text, then that would show up here. And if you want to search for something, you search for a keyword. So let's say we want to search for personality. We can see that the term is showing up here in this response. So anything that you feel like you want to search for, you can do that here. And then let's just show another form. So this is another form with a ranking question. And so if you ask people to rank something from the highest to the lowest, then you can see here that this number 1 paddle is their highest amongst the group, amongst all respondents, was the number 1 answer compared to the other answers here. Okay. All right, so now I'm just going to go back to this form here, which is the lead gen form. And one other thing I did want to show you here is that you can filter this by a question. So if you only want to show a certain question, or if you want to filter by a URL parameter. So here I've added a URL parameter for source, and one of my sources is a landing page. So let's say I only want to see how people that landed on this form on my landing page responded. I'll hit apply. And then you can see here that 9 out of the 11 total responses that I have access this form on my landing page, and I can see the data for those 9 respondents. Okay, and one other thing I wanted to show you is that you can actually save the view that you have here. So here I can just click Save View, and let's say I want to call this landing page view. Okay, then I can click Save. And now when I come back to this, I can choose this view to have that data already filtered for me. And then here is where you can change the view that you want to see. So we can go back to the default, or we can change to that landing page view. So that was the Summary tab. Next, we're going to dive into individual responses. All right, so here we are in the Responses tab. Once again, this is for So Digital, the lead generation form. So this is your table of individual responses. So this is on a person by person, respondent by respondent basis. So if you scroll over here, you can see all of your questions, including any enriched data that you may have received from this form. Data enrichment lets you collect extra information based on an email address, and this is a feature that you can turn on in the settings of either an email or contact info question. So I just want to highlight a couple of things here. So here's where you can manipulate the table and see things that you want to see in the order that you want to see them. So here you can collapse or expand the rows. Here you can decide which questions you want to see or hide. And then if you want to see something more closely or at the head of this table here, then you can just move things around so that you can see the most important information at the front of your table. Okay. And of course, if you want to download your responses, you can do that here. If you are collecting contact information in your form, you can also import that data into your Typeform contacts table and then set up automations based on the information that you're collecting. So for more details about contacts and automations, I've linked a video in the description below. And once again, you have the same filters, the date filters and the filters for certain questions. So let's say I only want to see people with a budget of 15 to 20,000, then I could just filter that here, apply that filter, and then I would only see those results in the table. Now, if you want to go into detail on an individual respondent, you can do that by clicking here, and then you will be able to see all of that information from a respondent. And as you can see here, this was an audio question. So I have the actual audio file here from the response, and then I have a transcript here of that response. So this transcript makes it easier to search your responses for certain keywords if you're looking for something specific among your responses. And if you have a video answer option in your form, you'll also get the video here, and you will get the transcript of that video. If you're using a Clarify with AI question, which allows AI to ask follow-up questions for you, you'll also see the entire transcript of that conversation in your results. And then finally here, you can add a tag. So let's say this tag is a hot lead. So I'm just going to create that tag, and then I will add that tag here, and then I can use that tag then to filter the responses. And then if you have any spam responses, you'll be able to see them in your spam folder here. reCAPTCHA lets you filter out spam responses so that you have cleaner data, and it can be turned on in the settings of your form. And last but not least, if you want to delete a response, you simply have to click here and then just click the delete button or the download button if you only want to download those two responses. Okay, so that was the Responses tab. Next, we are going over to Smart Insights. Smart Insights uses AI to generate trends based on your data. It'll find correlations for you so that you can more easily interpret your data. Okay, so here we are in the Smart Insights tab, and just to note, for Smart Insights to work, you do need at least 10 responses, or you won't have enough responses to get any meaningful insights. So this specific form is a Rec Center questionnaire, and in the form, I ask people what kind of activities they want to do. I ask for their age range, how much they're willing to spend on a monthly membership, and then at the end, I ask how willing they are to buy a membership with us on a scale of 1 to 10. So if you have some closed-end questions, they will show up like this as response trends, where you'll get a summary of some of the key findings. And then you can see the different age groups here stacked up against how much money they're willing to spend. So as you can see, the under 18s prefer to spend less than $20. That's pretty normal. And then the 26 to 35, they are kind of spread out between the different price ranges. So if you scroll through, you'll be able to see a lot of these different types of charts to show you some comparisons between data. And if you have at least one number question in your form, so this could be something like an NPS or a rating question, and at least one multiple choice question in your form, then you will be able to see the comparative analysis. So as I mentioned earlier, I have a question in this form, an opinion scale, asking people how likely they are to purchase a membership after filling in this questionnaire. So that is my number question. And then I have a multiple choice question here asking about their age. So this is giving me some key differences between groups. And as you can see here, it's separating them into big differences, moderate differences, and small differences. So here you can see in the big differences that the 18 to 25 group scored 117% higher than the under 18s in terms of how likely they are to purchase a membership to the rec center. So that means they are much more likely to purchase that membership. So this is just a really good way to be able to see key differences and key groups or audience segments. And we have a ton more information on the Help Center about how we calculate these scores and exactly how this feature works. And then finally, if you have an open-ended question, so in this form, I don't have any open-ended questions, so you can see here, there's nothing to see. But in this form here, I do have some open-ended questions, and this is a restaurant feedback form. So what you'll see is some qualitative insights based on larger trends in your data. So this is a restaurant feedback form, and this question asks, do you have any suggestions for improvement? So here you can see there's a couple of key points here about staff training, menu expansion, and noise management. So these are just kind of quick hits to really point out some of the key things that people are talking about within their open-ended questions. And then you can see also here the sentiment, so positive, negative, neutral, and mixed. So to see what general feeling people have towards your restaurant or whatever it is that you're asking them. So that is just a quick snapshot into our Smart Insights features. So those are all the ways that you can take a look at your data in Typeform. Now we're always looking to improve these features, especially Smart Insights, so keep an eye out for new features and functionalities popping up. For more information about your summaries, data, drop-off, and anything else related to your results, don't forget to check out the Typeform community and the Typeform Help Center for more resources. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content just like this. See you next time.